Hello, welcome to Bravi. I'm Cesar Vicente, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you all a friend, my teacher for 6 years, a member of the Euclid Quartet, and professor at Indiana University South Bend, Luis Vargas. Great to have you, Luis.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
That's nice. That's nice. Luis, I want to start asking you, what motivated you to be a musician? Was there some inspiration? Your parents were musicians. How was it?
Well, my parents were not musicians. Actually, I come from a family of musicians, but it was actually my sister that really inspired me. I was, 12. I was pretty late actually, as things go with music. So I just remember that my sister used to be like really passionate about the piano. She was used to practice, 8 hours the piano, and then I got inspired about her motivation. But I was really not into music. I mean, I had two brothers who studied guitar. I have another brother who picked up oboe, and that's it. I mean, my youngest brother, we're seven of us. My youngest brother didn't pick anything. And I just was not interested. I was like into sports and some other things. But I guess so what happened was, I tell you real quick so we don't expend too much on it. But there was one day when I was 12 years old, so pretty late, and I remember I grabbed a storybook about the story of John the Ark, and it was a rainy day, and my sister was playing Chopin on the piano, and I just remember how intense my reading became just from listening to the music that my sister was playing, And at the end of that reading, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I like music. And I went downstairs, I told my sister, I want to play the piano. And then my sister, took me to my parents, and, my parents were like, no, you can't play the piano. We only have one piano and she's playing all day, pick something else. So anyway, the long story short is I ended up starting in El Sistema in Venezuela, viola, and that was 14 when I was 14. So I was pretty late already.
Well, we have something in common. Besides the fact we both play viola, we come from South America.
Right.
And it's a dream for most of the South American students to pursue a degree in the United States, right? I will not say it's easy, but it requires a lot of planning, but it's completely possible.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from you. How did you do, or how was coming to US something planned since the beginning, or was something that naturally happened with you?
Well, it was not planned at all. It sort of, I should say, it sort of landed on my lap. I mean, not exactly like that, but like I was playing a string quartet at the time. It was a pretty well established quartet. I mean, pretty serious quartet. And there is, we were in El Sistema, and there was an inspiration that we had from a professional string quartet. There was a professional quartet called the Rios Reina, and we always look to them. I remember just wanting to be a chamber musician, but I just didn't know how that would happen. But so one time with that old quartet, we were invited to participate in a music festival in Mexico, and also in the United States, Round Top Festival in Texas. But it was in Mexico, the San Miguel de Allende Festival, that we got to meet. We made great connections on both festivals, but particularly the one that really kind of pushed me to this country was meeting the Penderecki Quartet. That was in Mexico. And that led me to Canada and to the United States. So, I mean, it's a longer story than that. But yeah, basically, it just happened that that I made those connections. And it just, sometimes you think about how things happen, right? Like a lot of the time, just things just have to line up properly, right? Like you have the stars line up on your favor. Yeah, I guess that happened to me. I mean, I don't know. But all I tell you, it was in my mind that I will become a chamber musician. I just had a feeling that when I remember it from the Rio Reina, I stay in touch with them, by the way, and I stay in touch with my old quartet as well. But I just wanted to be a chamber musician and a string quartet player, and here I am.
Yeah,
call
right.
it call it fate. Yeah.
And as a professor, Luis, I know you're a chamber musician, but I am more interested in this professor side of you. What's the biggest challenge that you faced as a professor?
Well, that question can take many directions, obviously. But I would say there being in a higher education institution has perks and challenges. I have to say though, I am very, very, very lucky to be at a USOF band, and I have enough words to express the gratitude I have for this institution, that the support they have given us to the Euclid Quartet is just invaluable. I mean, it's just incredible what they have done. Challenges, yeah. So I suppose one of the challenges I've seen. I mean, this is just being my own experience. I guess being in this community. I guess I've seen that in the years that I've been here, I've seen a very slow growth, I guess, in the local public schools. It seems like it's not generating a great number of students who could potentially pursue music in college, which is really, really, really hard for us, because we definitely want to cater the most to our local community, right? But I don't know, it seems that the interest seems to not be there or something, but we seem to be having better luck with international students, or students coming from abroad, from other states. And I guess it's they're just well, I should say it's not always that like that. Like, there are some exceptions in our local community here. There's some schools here that generate some good students, obviously, but it seems to be like the number is not enough. So those international students, they feel they need that sort of environment that we can provide to them, and they are students that could easily place themselves in like larger universities or colleges, or conservatories, but they're coming here, they're picking us here, coming to study with us. They feel that they have an opportunity. Well, you had this experience yourself, like to collaborate with the faculty. Remember that project that we did, the Mendelssohn Octet. I hope that's something that that stayed with you. So I think that is exactly the goal, is give the students an experience that we'll never forget. And I think that's more important than the name of the university, right? Mm-hmm. So I hope that answered.
No, it's interesting. I definitely enjoyed my time at USP. I learned a lot. It's interesting that I had a lot of experience, right? So I had to step back a little bit, right? To not only learn, but to adapt to the whole situation. But it's definitely a school that I will recommend to my colleagues, my friends, because as you said, it's not a large university, but you guys provide everything we need, every recitals, concerts, and everything. So it's a very good program, and I will definitely say to my friends and everybody that was watching this video will be interested too. So you just said about lack of interest, Luis, and I have a theory. I've been thinking about it a lot. Okay, for all kinds of business, okay, the key to success is the relationship between the client and the product. Okay, there is a guy called Simon Sinek. This guy is a bestseller author, and he's very known writing about leadership. And there is one of the quotes that is very, very important for me. He says, like, if you don't understand people, you don't know how to make business. For me, this is the base of all business. If you want to succeed in your business, you really want to know, you have to know people. And I have the opinion that we have been failing with our clients, the audience, okay? That's something I've been crazy about, because we are offering the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Okay, we offer a concert, they buy the ticket, they go, they clap, they go back home. We offer a lesson, they pay, they stay for an hour, right? They go home. I think, and I'm including myself in this, right? We are always concerned with our self-promotion more than anything else, including the audience members. We don't think about them at all. I mean, we think, but we have to adapt to our self-promotion, right? It gives me a feeling that we're missing something. Do you feel the same, or there is nothing to do? What do you think about it?
It's interesting. I do see that classical music has become stagnant, like how the way you describe, you just go play your instrument and go home, they buy their ticket and so on. It has become sort of a, like a lifeless or meaningless, routine, right? And obviously, we have to, with this, to answer that question for now, we have to remove the whole COVID-19 out of the equation, obviously, because for obvious reason, we cannot play concerts these days, right? But before COVID-19 and hopefully after, I guess that will be how I will focus that answer. I think, you were talking about the business side of how to view the music as a business, and you say something about the product. My first question to you is, could you define the product? Like, I think the problem that we have found ourselves and why the music has become stagnant is because we don't really know what the product is. Who are we really serving? And if we are serving a specific clientele, let's talk about business, right? If we're serving a particular specific clientele that has their own interest, and their own taste, right? Then, then we really are just basically limiting ourselves to that group of people, right? So history has shown us that, the more selective that we have become and who gets, to enjoy our services, the least chances to expand and to broaden, that we will see broadening, right? So I think the effect of demographic, you can see it in history as well. If you look at that effect of demographic targeting in the history of other genres, you can definitely see that that's been a good builder of character and characteristics that make the genre specific, and unique, right? But something about the demographic hasn't really worked with classical music. You saw, for instance, like in country and folk, for instance, and you saw in rhythm and blues, for instance, that those genres went through a process of expansion, right? Like integration, and the barriers that separated those demographics were blurred. The problem with classical music has been that we have we have been catering to a specific demographic for centuries, and I think it has failed to expand further the genre, right? And to grow in character, and it's causing it to become stagnant, right? What needs to happen, I think, in my opinion, I mean, this could take a long time, this conversation. I know there are people talking about this. I know, because I just had a conversation about this only a few days ago with a friend in Chicago, and put these ideas in my mind. It's like, but I think what needs to happen is that, classical music will need to go through a revival process, and it needs not to be bringing it the same way like it has been the old way for centuries. I think this revival will have to come with re-envisioning, for instance, a rethinking, re-evaluating of the business part of it, like how you mentioned it, and how it's marketed, and to whom it's marketed, and who are running the business. And that is the biggest problem, I feel. But in general, it's just getting rid of the demographic barriers. But let me go to that, because I feel that's one of the, I think this could probably answer your question, hopefully. I think part of the problem is that in classical music, at least the participants of the genre, the musicians, had been on this boat that is moving, and not thanks to the music they play. Yeah, like orchestral musicians, for instance, they have no much say on how to steer the boat, right? what is asked of them is simply what you describe. You practice the music, play nearly perfect at every concert, come on time to rehearsals, and do not even think of ever missing a concert or, God forbid, getting sick, having a baby, or take family time. And by the way, keep your mouth shut at all time, right? so really, who runs the business? The top tiers, right? The money hungry business people that are, all they care about is profit, and they make sure the business runs smoothly at the expense of the musicians. I mean, did you ever heard of a musician who thought they would get rich as a musician? No, right?
Yeah.
And then those musicians are spending the 10,000 hours of practice time, to get really good at their shop, right? But I think, I really think that I think the students of this generation, the college students of this generation, have an opportunity to make a change, and I think it will have to happen with them. I think it's in their hands. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, but those college students will soon be joining the workforce, and they'll be filling up positions as an administrator or a CEO, somewhere in the music business, right? Or performing in orchestra, right? But it's like they are the ones who have to do the right move. So I just thought about a movie. I don't know if you ever, I watched it like a couple of days ago on Netflix, and it's about Space Camp. I don't know if you know about this, Space Camp.
No, I know.
Well, so Space Camp is an organization that educates teenagers about space program, right? And then they put ideas in their minds about being an astronaut, right? And so the movie was aimed at targeting that generation of teenagers who will be becoming astronauts, because they think that is the generation that will be setting foot in Mars, right? In 10 years. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is the way I'm thinking. I think this generation of college students that are going to college for music are going to be the generation who will need to make the boat, to steer the boat in a different way. Anyway, so how is that going to happen? I don't know. I think some people will figure it out, but hopefully it won't take 10 years, like the space program. Sorry for the long answer.
No, it was good. I really like the answer. It's interesting. I still think that there will be some great idea, okay, to change the way we perform. Right? That's how you said. I mean, someone will come with a good idea, rethink, right, replan everything, and that's it. Even though for now as a musician, I feel it's hard for the change to happen on this stage, right? Because there's so many things going on. I mean, if you play like a Mozart quartet, for example, right, that you have to pay attention and you have to concentrate yourself. You're concerned about the next movement, the next piece. It's hard, but my focus is on what happens with the audience, right? What can we do that we can engage them more, that we can bring them to the concert, that we can make them to participate on the concert. Yeah. So I feel that this is the key. This for now. Maybe the future, as you said, the new students, the new generation, we have to think about it. But for now, we could focus on the audience, right?
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning about who is benefiting. Like, I think defining the product is what we need to do. And I think the product should be the audience. And what has been the problem is that the people who are running the business of music, they're running it as business, but for profit. All they care for is to make orchestras be profitable. Mm-hmm. And then that needs change. I mean, we need to think about where, like, there needs to be people who will put the resources to the music business, in particularly in the education system, the music education system, like creating El Sistema style programs in the country that could benefit, again, just trying to break down the demographic barriers, basically bringing people together, serving the communities, provide social change, and there are programs that are doing that, in Europe that are taking music to communities that are, have been struggling with, like segregation, against women, for instance, or people of different religions and things like that. There's a program that brought music to women in Afghanistan, for instance, I heard about that. It was aimed to give them the opportunity to finally be something in life. And that social change is needed, and you could use it. You could use music for that, so to make social change. And I think that goes to what you're asking about, who are we serving? I think that needs to be revised. We need to serve the audience. We need to look at how music could make change.
Yes, yes. And at the same point, I mean, as I said, is hard, because at the same point, we musicians, we artists have to take something from that too, right? Because as you said, we're not rich. We don't get that much money,
Right.
and we have to take something from that. But
Yeah,
we cannot forget the audience. That's my point.
it's true. But you can, unfortunately, you also have to, the two things need to go hand in hand, because you have to pay bills, right? You have to make needs met, right? Like you need to provide for your family, right? So when you were asking about, when you run, how you run the music business as you're thinking about promoting yourself, that I don't think that's bad at all.
Okay.
I think if we learn how to be entrepreneurs, that's only going to improve the business of music. That's necessary. We actually need to become more entrepreneurs ourselves, right? But use some of that knowledge to put it into, some more creative ideas to bring music to communities that don't get the opportunity to, they don't get engaged into the classical music world. Like non-profit organizations that are doing work for that. So trying to find those non-profit organizations, try to steer the money to go into like providing the needs, like giving the resources to those institutions so that they can do their job, right? To serve communities that are needing the music. I think, classical music can do that. I think it needs just to change. Just needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a new niche, right, Luis? I mean, it's different than being practicing 10 hours a day. I mean, now
Yeah.
we need someone that really, really likes classical music. They study this, they study everything they have to study, but they focus on this niche, right? How to make music, classical music business,
Yeah.
right? That's a new niche probably for the future. That's
Yeah.
good. I mean, I like this conversation. That's very
Me
nice.
too.
I like it. So, and what about the quartets? How this pandemic might change the whole thing, I mean, the plans, or how's going to be 2021, for example?
Oh man. I mean, it's been really weird, I have to say. I mean, there's just, I mean, our season was cut short, obviously because of the pandemic. I mean, lots of cancellation. I mean, we're still doing, like some online concerts, uh, and some concert series that had to like cancel our performances are doing we're doing performances for them as well, but it's not the same. I can't wait for the moment where we go back to the concert halls, to bring the people back to the concert halls. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, there's some that the human side of music is necessary, right? Like to keep that uh, connection between audience and musician. I mean, it's just, when you take completely away the people, it's just, you feel like you're playing for microphones, for chairs, in playing with mask. My gosh, I mean, I tell you, I mean, it was so hard. We did one of those things that we had to do with those performances. We recorded with us playing really far apart, and wearing masks, and it's so hard, trying to like stay together and for visual cues as well. And not to mention like the recording part of it, like you making a recording out of it. And it's nothing like what you will record in a regular setup, right?
Yes.
It's, you got a lot of balance issues, blend issues, and sound depth. It's just not there. So I've been very frustrated about that. But we have to do what we got to do, right?
Yes. And I heard you guys are recruiting new students. Just in case someone get interested in coming to a USB, what can they do?
Well, I mean, because of the pandemic, right now the live auditions have been put on hold. But we're conducting auditions. I'm actually the coordinator of auditions. So, and it becomes a lot easier for international students. It's something that when you audition, I mean, you were already here in this country, so it's a little bit easier, when you're in this country, you can come. But somebody who is in Brazil or like in another country will have an easier way auditioning this. If anybody who's listening to this interview is interested in coming to audition here, coming to study with me, viola, you can look me up on the university website, music.usb.edu.
I will put on the video.
Oh, awesome. Because, you can see my email there. They can get in touch with me. And it doesn't have to be a violist also. I mean, other instrumentalists can get in touch because I coordinate the auditions.
That's nice, Luis. Very, very good to talk to you. I always finish the interview asking the guest to tell something funny, just to forget all the serious questions we just went through. So what's the funniest story? I mean, music related. I mean, it can be performance-wise or lesson.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had a few. I mean, can I tell you two, or
Yes, please.
We have time for two?
Yeah.
One performance, funny thing that happened with the quartet. We used to actually, long time ago, we used to play with tuxedos. We stopped doing that. We changed to suits or even just a jacket sometimes without the tie. But in this concert, we were playing in New York State, upstate New York, and then just 5 minutes before the performance, before we go, the guy with the radio thing is like, okay, 5 minutes, and then I go, wait a minute, I have to go upstairs. I have to go, was that a drink of water or the bathroom? I forget. No, the water. I needed water. Where is the fountain? Oh, it's upstairs, he goes. And then, so I just run. So there is the staircase with this railing, like metal railing, and my tuxedo jacket got caught up on that. No. And I ripped up my jacket like half. And then I'm like, oh! And then all of a sudden, like, I had to go out on stage. And I say, guys, this just happened. Come on, guys. Could we remove our jackets? And the guy said, no, because we didn't iron our shirts.
What a friend.
Of course, you're a traveling musician. You don't iron your shirts, And they were like, nope, sorry, we have to wear our jackets. So that was really funny because, I mean, there's the guys go out on stage, with their jackets on, and I come with a white shirt. Of course, I had to tell the story to the audience, And then another quick story, this was way back in Venezuela, many years in El Sistema. But so we had a guest conductor, the father of Subin Mehta. He was called, his name was Meli Mehta. And, he was very old, and, and he was conducting Romeo and Juliet. And there is one moment, I look in the first stanza of the second violin, what was going on, and then, first stanza, second violins, they're looking for something on the floor, and then, the music is going, all of a sudden there's a little pause, and everybody's like, what's going on? And then the principal second or the assistant just went like this, Maestro, I think you lost a tooth.
A tooth? That's
tooth. It just a truth came out and landed on this, first and the second one.
No, that's new for me.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
I appreciate you taking your time to talk with me. Good luck with everything. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a very good 2021. I hope everything goes normal as possible, right? For us.
Same, yeah. I hope so too.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you for
you.
watching us. Bye.
Bye.